You remember exactly where you were when you found out. Maybe your boss called you into the office and slid a paper across the desk. Maybe it was an email with the subject line offer letter. Maybe it was a promotion conversation that ended with a number that made you go quiet for a second before you said yes. $100,000 a year. 6 figures. The number that for most of your 20s felt like a ceiling only other people could touch. And you told yourself, quietly, that once you got here everything would be different. The stress would ease. The math would finally work. You would stop doing that thing where you check your balance 3 times before a weekend because you're not sure if you can absorb 2 dinners out and a tank of gas without things getting tight. And then you got here, and the stress didn't ease, and the math still feels wrong, and you are checking your balance with the same frequency you did when you were earning $62,000. And nobody warned you that this could happen. Nobody told you that $100,000 a year could feel like not enough. Nobody explained that there is a specific set of traps waiting for you at this income level that will consume the difference between what you used to earn and what you earn now so completely and so quietly that you will reach the end of the year with almost nothing to show for the raise that was supposed to change your life. That is what this video is about. My name is Sig, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, income psychology, and the specific financial mistakes that show up at specific income levels with such consistency that they almost feel like scheduled appointments. If you recently crossed 6 figures and you expected to feel different than you do, or if you are working toward 100,000 and you want to understand what's waiting for you when you get there, subscribe to this channel right now and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up explaining something you've been feeling but couldn't quite put into words, because the $100,000 trap is real. It is specific, and almost nobody talks about it until someone is already inside it. Let me establish why this salary level carries such enormous psychological weight before we talk about what goes wrong at it. $100,000 a year sounds like real money because for most of American history it was genuinely rare. In 1980, only about 3% of American households earned 6 figures. The cultural mythology around the $100,000 salary was built during a period when reaching it meant you had genuinely arrived somewhere most people never got. That mythology persists. Movies, television, casual conversation, the advice of parents who built their financial lives in a different era, all of it reinforces the idea that 6 figures is the finish line, the place where financial stress becomes a memory, the income level at which you finally have enough room to breathe. And then you get there, and you discover that the finish line moved, that inflation, housing costs, lifestyle expectations, tax brackets, and a dozen other forces conspire to make $100,000 in 2026 feel like what 50 or 60,000 felt like a generation ago. You did not fail to arrive. The destination changed while you were traveling toward it, and understanding that distinction is important because it separates a structural problem that requires structural solutions from a personal failure that requires self-blame. This is not a personal failure. This is a math problem with specific causes that can be identified and addressed. The first trap that catches people at $100,000 is the one that hits before they spend a single dollar. The tax math at this income level surprises almost everyone who reaches it for the first time. $100,000 gross sounds like a dramatically different number than $75,000 gross, and in terms of lifestyle expectations, it is treated that way. But in terms of what actually lands in your bank account, the difference is smaller than people anticipate. Let me show you the math. At $75,000 in annual income in 2026, a single person in a typical state pays roughly 15% in federal income tax, 7.65% in FICA taxes, and somewhere between 3 and 6% in state income tax depending on where they live. Their effective total tax rate lands around 26 to 28%. Take home approximately $54,000 to $56,000 annually. At $100,000, that same person is now in a higher marginal federal bracket. Their effective total tax rate climbs to approximately 30 to 33%. take home approximately $67,000 to $70,000 annually. The gross salary increased by 33%. The take-home increased by approximately 20 to 25%. That gap between what people expect and what actually arrives is where the first layer of the trap lives. People make lifestyle decisions based on the gross number. They sign leases, buy cars, agree to social commitments, and make financial plans based on $100,000. Then the paycheck arrives and it is not $100,000 divided by 12. It is somewhere around $5,600 to $5,800 a month. And the plans built on $100,000 gross do not fit comfortably inside the take-home number. The second trap is the one most people see coming and walk into anyway, because it does not feel like a trap when it is happening. It feels like reward. You earn 6 figures. You worked hard for years to get here. You said no to things. You delayed gratification. You watched colleagues who seemed less disciplined than you spend freely while you were careful. And now you have the income to live the way you always imagined you would when you got here. So you upgrade, not recklessly, not dramatically, just reasonably. You move to a nicer apartment because you can finally afford it. You lease a car that reflects where you are professionally because driving a 10-year-old car with a dent in the rear bumper feels inconsistent with your income level now. You start saying yes to the dinners you used to decline. You book the vacation you had been postponing for 3 years. You upgrade the furniture because you're an adult with a real income now, and living like a college student at 34 feels embarrassing. Every single one of these decisions feels individually justified. You can afford it. That is true. But here is what is also true. The apartment that is $400 more per month than your old one is $4,800 per year. The car lease is another $500 a month, $6,000 annually. The dinners and the vacation and the furniture add another $3,000 to $5,000 over the course of a year. You have spent $10,000 to $15,000 in lifestyle upgrades that feel modest and earned. And those upgrades consume most of the take-home difference between your old salary and your new one before you have saved a single additional dollar. You are now earning $100,000 and saving roughly what you saved at $75,000, which is to say, not enough. Let me show you what this looks like in a real person's life, because I think the numbers alone don't fully capture the experience of being inside this trap while it's happening. Jessica is 31 years old. She just crossed $100,000 in annual salary at her tech company after 4 years of grinding and to promotions. She is genuinely proud. She earned it. Her take-home after taxes and her standard 401k contribution of 6% at approximately $5,500 a month. When she was earning $72,000, her take-home was approximately $4,200 a month. She has $1,300 extra dollars a month. Here is what Jessica did with it over the first year. She moved to an apartment that was $600 more per month than her previous place. It is nicer, closer to work, has a gym in the building. She leased a new car. Payment is $420 a month. Her old car was paid off. She started getting her hair done properly, upgraded her wardrobe to match her new professional environment, and added a few subscriptions she had been holding off on. Total additional monthly spending, approximately $1,280. Jessica has $1,300 more per month coming in. She is spending $1,280 more per month. She is saving $20 more per month than she did at $72,000. $20. At the end of year 1, Jessica has a nicer apartment, a new car, better clothes, and essentially the same financial position she was in before the raise that was supposed to change everything. She is not irresponsible. She is not uninformed. She is human, and she walked directly into a trap that was built specifically for people who reach her income level without a clear plan for what to do when they get there. Here is the third trap, and it is the one that operates almost entirely below the level of conscious awareness. When your income crosses $100,000, something shifts in your social environment that nobody tells you to prepare for. Your peer group updates, or more precisely, your perceived peer group updates. You start comparing yourself to people at your new income level rather than your old one. And people at your income level tend to own things, do things, and spend on things that people at your previous income level did not. Your colleagues at the new salary level own homes in nice neighborhoods. They take international vacations. They drive cars that cost more than $40,000. They send their kids to private school or pay for enrichment activities that cost more per month than your old car payment. They have wardrobes that communicate success visibly, and you are now in rooms with these people regularly. Your brain, which is exquisitely wired for social comparison, starts processing this environment as the new baseline. The things that felt like luxuries 6 months ago start to feel like basic requirements for membership in the social tier you now occupy. This is not vanity. This is a deeply human cognitive process called social norming, and it operates whether you are aware of it or not. The problem is that your $100,000 salary does not actually support the lifestyle visible at the income levels above you, and trying to perform membership in a tier you have not yet financially consolidated produces exactly the financial stress you thought a higher income would eliminate. The fourth trap is the most mathematically damaging and the quietest. When most people get a significant raise, their savings rate stays flat in dollar terms or grows only marginally. At $75,000, Jessica was saving $300 a month into her 401k at 6% and maybe another $100 into savings. $400 a month total. At $100,000, she bumped her 401k to the same 6% of the new salary, which is about $500 a month. She is saving $500 toward retirement and roughly the same nominal amount in other savings. Her savings rate in percentage terms is approximately the same as it was at $75,000, which means the additional income she earned is not building her future. It is supporting a more expensive present. The math on this is brutal when you project it forward. The person who reaches $100,000 and bumps their savings rate from 10% to 20% is putting away $20,000 a year instead of $10,000. Over 20 years at 8%, that additional $10,000 annually becomes approximately $573,000 in additional retirement wealth. The person who reaches $100,000 and keeps their savings rate flat is leaving $500,000 of accessible future wealth on the table in exchange for a nicer apartment and a leased vehicle that will be worth zero in 3 years. Here is what should happen when someone crosses $100,000 that almost never does happen without deliberate intention. The raise arrives. The lifestyle stays exactly where it is. Every dollar of the after-tax increase goes somewhere specific before it has a chance to become a habit. Some of it goes to maxing the Roth IRA if it hasn't been maxed. Some goes to increasing the 401k contribution rate meaningfully above 6%. Some goes to building or completing the emergency fund. Some goes to eliminating any remaining high-interest debt. And if those things are funded, whatever remains can go toward a deliberate and specific lifestyle upgrade that was chosen consciously rather than drifted into gradually. This is not a punishing approach. It is not a call to live like a monk forever. It is a call to make the financial foundation actually solid before expanding the structure on top of it. The person who does this for 18 to 24 months after crossing $100,000 is in a completely different financial position than the person who immediately expands their lifestyle to match the new income, not because they are smarter or more disciplined in some innate way, because they understood that the raise was a tool and they chose to use it before the trap had a chance to consume it. Let me show you two versions of Jessica 5 years after she crossed $100,000 to make the stakes of this completely concrete. Version 1 is the Jessica we already met. She upgraded her lifestyle immediately. Her savings rate stayed around 6%. Her monthly expenses absorbed the raise within the first year. Over 5 years, she has saved approximately $36,000 in her 401k through consistent contributions. She has about $8,000 in a savings account. Her net worth is roughly $44,000. She has a nice apartment, a leased car that is coming up on its end of term, and the same financial anxiety she had at $72,000 wearing a more expensive outfit. Version 2 is the Jessica who made a different decision the month the raise arrived. She kept her old apartment for 2 more years. She kept the paid-off car. She directed the take-home difference into her Roth IRA, maxed it in year 1, increased her $401,000 to 15%, and built a 6-month emergency fund within 14 months. Over the same 5 years version, to Jessica has approximately $112,000 in retirement accounts, $18,000 in accessible savings, and a net worth of approximately $130,000. Same salary, same 5 years, same $100,000 starting point. One decision in the first month of earning the new income produced a difference of $86,000 in net worth over 5 years. That gap does not close. It widens every year because the compounding on $112,000 grows faster than the compounding on $36,000, regardless of what either Jessica does going forward. Let me be direct about what you need to do if you are currently inside this trap or approaching the income level where it is waiting for you. The first move is to calculate your actual take-home before you make any decisions about what to do with the raise. Gross salary is a lie your employer tells you. Your real income is what arrives in your bank account after taxes, after retirement contributions, after health insurance premiums. Know that number before you sign a lease or agree to a car payment or make any financial commitment that assumes a gross figure. The second move is to write down specifically where the after-tax increase will go before it arrives. Not vaguely, specifically. For $100 to max the Roth IRA, $300 to increase the 401k rate, $200 to the emergency fund until it hits 6 months of expenses. If you do not allocate the increase before it arrives, it will allocate itself through the path of least resistance, which is always lifestyle expansion. The third move is to implement a 1-year rule on lifestyle upgrades. Every upgrade that feels warranted by the new income gets put on a 1-year delay. After 12 months of earning the new salary, you evaluate which upgrades actually still feel important and which ones were just the psychological noise of a new number adjusting to its environment. You will find that most of the things that felt urgent in month 1 feel optional in month 13, and the things that still feel genuinely important can be funded at that point from a position of actual financial strength rather than aspirational spending that outpaces the real take-home. Here is the reframe that I think matters most coming out of this video. A significant raise is not a reward that you cash in on immediately. It is a tool that you deploy strategically. The people who experience financial peace at $100,000 are not the people who live like they earn $100,000. They are the people who live like they earn $75,000 and invest the difference until their financial foundation is genuinely solid. Then they upgrade intentionally from a position of security rather than speculatively from a position of aspiration. The raise you worked for, the 6 figures you built toward, the income milestone that was supposed to change things, it will change things. But only if you understand that the change doesn't happen automatically when the number goes up. It happens when the structure of your financial life changes in response to the new income. The trap is not the raise. The trap is the assumption that the raise is the destination. It isn't. It is the raw material. And raw material only becomes something valuable when you decide what to build with it before the lifestyle creep decides for you.